So the agency is bringing in currently about £18,000 to £20,000 a month, which is a lot of money.
Nice.
And honestly, at the start, I'd have the money in my bank account and I was almost afraid of it. I was like, what do I do with it? And then I started completely overthinking things because I was so used to having a certain amount of money, a certain amount went to fuel, a certain amount went to lunch at work, a certain amount went to just pleasure, then you had your phone contract, then you had rent. And it just, I was like, but I have money left over now. And I was like, what can I spend it on? I would 100% say the Affluent Academy taught me so much. And I think the way that it's structured from at the start, where it's how to set up your business in terms of even going down to kind of like websites, etc. It's a program, because I've taken other programs in the past and I was promised so much with them and I received them and I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I bought the Affluent Academy and I was like, this is amazing. Like there's so much value in it, and I think it really helps that you are passionate about teaching other people how to do it as well, because that definitely comes across. Like other videos, there was literally just people sat, like, I'm sure some of them were on their bed. And I was like, you're literally doing this
It's a
to
joke.
make money, yeah. And don't get me wrong, everyone loves to earn money, but I'd prefer to earn it doing something that I enjoy. And if you are thinking about doing it, it's going to be scary. I'm not going to say that you're suddenly going to sign your first client and you're going to fly.
Yeah.
And it's not suddenly going to be, you're going to have your first client and all these clients are flooding your inbox. And so many people then promise that. And you are going to have to work, but it is going to be so worth it.
What's up guys, Jordan here. Today we are joined by Jess. Jess is a member of the Affluent Academy. She's killing it and she owns Find My Reach. She started her agency when she was only 18 years old and she's had some huge success. I can't wait to talk about this and dive into this today. But yeah, guys, before we get started, as always, I like to ask our guests what their backstory is and how they stumbled across social media marketing, why they started their agency. So Jess, in a nutshell, if you could give us a bit of backstory, that would be amazing. And firstly, thank you so much for coming on today.
That's okay. So I worked as a recruitment consultant. I worked in construction recruitment. So I would put people that worked in construction into jobs basically. And I would see every day the boss turn up in an amazing car and I was earning absolutely nothing. And I would start work at 8:45 in the morning and I wouldn't leave until 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. And then I had the travel to get there and back as well. I live in Cardiff and rush hour is just absolute carnage. But yeah, I kind of looked and I was looking similar models, affiliate marketing. And then my passion is I want to help people. I want to see other people succeed. That's always what I've wanted to do. So I thought, right, okay, how can I do this? And then I stumbled across, it was actually one of Jordan's videos about social media marketing. And I was like, right, okay, this looks really interesting. And I started kind of researching it a bit more. And I was like, right, okay. And I actually started working with construction professionals at the start because I had a lot of connections in the industry. I literally put out a post on LinkedIn and I'll be completely honest, my first client, they paid me and I never heard from them again. And, yeah, and literally I went for a face-to-face meeting, had it, contract signed, they paid the money, and then when I asked for like their login details, etc., I've never heard from them again.
That's so weird.
I know, so I was like, right, okay, this is a brilliant start, but I was like, right, okay, gotta push on. But yeah, basically I just couldn't, I knew I was destined for more. In recruitment, I was able to help people get into jobs, but I wasn't able to help them to the level which I wanted to. And yeah, that's why I started social media marketing, because I can help other businesses grow while growing my own business.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you started so young. A lot of people, this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this interview, because a lot of people always like almost use age as an excuse for not doing something, or they think it will hold them back, and it's that limiting belief that people have. So you were 18 when you started.
Yeah.
I know you're able to hold yourself in a professional manner because of like recruitment stuff anyway. But what did you do to make sure that you were taken seriously? And did you come across times where you weren't taken seriously because of your age?
100%. It was like, well, you're only 18 years old.
Right.
But what I did was I did so much research. I made sure I knew every part of the industry. I made sure that every single meeting, either it was face-to-face or on Zoom, that I had so much knowledge that I came across as the professional in the field, because you are doing this to help them. Yes, they're going to be a client of yours, and I think a big thing about it was at the start, you don't have results and it's quite difficult. But once you got them, you go, okay, well, I've got these results for this person. And they go, well, how? Well, I've worked with them for the past 6 months, and they're now doing this. And suddenly, as soon as it's definitely at the start, it's much harder, like 100%. And then I found it kind of snowballed, because I was starting to get referrals. I was starting to get other kinds of like people seeing the results. And I personally, I've never been a huge person on social media for my agency. Like I'll post every so often, but I've never used it as a way to get myself out there. Purely my agency is generally run on referrals now.
That's amazing. And that's the dream. That's where you want to be.
Yeah.
It's
100%. Because chasing clients, like in recruitment, I did cold calling, and once you get into the flow of it, yeah, it's okay. But it can, at the start, I know how it feels. It can feel so daunting. And especially when you do that first phone call and they go, no. And so it can, like, I've had days where it's like completely knocked me down for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But you have to build that resilience. Resilience is so important when owning your own business, because you are going to get knocked down. And that's why so many people fail, because it's not like they failed because they've run out of money. It's failed because they have stopped trying.
Yeah,
100%. So I think, building up the resilience and making sure that I had so much information and like facts to back me up. No one can say anything about facts.
No.
So they are the truth. So I made sure I had everything rather than kind of doing it on a whim.
Well, you have the ultimate resilience, because like you're young, so you're like 18. You're also female, reaching out to a male predominant industry, construction, and it's like
so difficult.
This massive uphill battle. So like if you can do that, then nobody's got any excuse. Like there's no excuse not. You just have to have that resilience with that.
Yeah, 100%. And in like working in such a male-dominated industry, they thought they could walk all over you. And don't get me wrong, the first time I started, I was being walked completely over. And then there was just one day and I was like, right, okay, if I don't start standing up for myself, I'm never going to succeed in this. And it's difficult, because you almost feel like you're kind of answering back to someone. But if you don't, they're never gonna understand that you are actually helping them. Yeah. And you are doing them a favor by getting them into work.
Yeah, they're not going to respect you at the end of the day. If you don't tell someone or put someone straight, then they're not going to respect you as a business person, or as them being your client. They won't respect the boundaries of a client, a service-based relationship.
And I think that was a big issue for me at the start. I started having clients message me at any time of the morning. Like it'd be like 3 a.m. and they'd send me a message being like, I need this done by 8 o'clock in the morning. And at the start, I thought, I was so worried about having these clients. I was like, okay, I got to do it. And then it was probably about 3 months in, and I was like, right, okay, serious boundaries need to be set. These are my working hours. These are the times that clients are allowed to contact me. If it's out of these working hours, it doesn't get responded till 9 o'clock the next morning. And some clients were like, but I've always messaged you. And I was like, no, this is the rules. I don't go and send you a message when you're not in the office, even though you send me a message probably while you're at home on the sofa. but I respect you don't get people calling your office all times expecting a response. So I said, right, the boundaries were set. And I think it was a big turning point for me because I suddenly took control. It started to feel like my agency more, rather than, because it still felt almost like I was working for other people.
Yeah.
Because they still had that control over me. And I just couldn't, once I sat down those boundaries, I think it was just such a big turning point for me. It did change so much.
Change everything. That's so crucial. That's so crucial. And so many people have that problem. Like, we get asked questions all the time. People saying, oh, what do I do if my client messages me on WhatsApp? Or when they message me, like they message me in the evening, what do I do? It's like, you got to remember, you're the business owner here. Like, you can take control of this. Like, this is, and you're not an employee. It's also like when someone's like, my client says they want to turn this advert off and start this. I'm like, well, is the client the advertiser or are you the advertiser? Like, who's doing this? Who's paying for the service? And so people are almost afraid to upset their clients, but at the detriment of their own respect and at the detriment of their well-being and their happiness. So it's kind of, I understand that barrier when you start off. I think I felt like that with the first restaurant that I'd worked with. You kind of end up feeling like you're almost like an additional or a non-official employee for that business. But I think the sooner you get that mentality out, you realize that you're the business owner, you're in charge. And also that comes across in your meetings as well. Like when you're then more confident and you're more assertive, and they're going to trust you much more. And I think you just get a lot more respect from people. So I think demanding respect is really important.
Yeah, 100%. And quite frankly, if a client won't respect you, I don't think you should be working with them, because you are, I know they're paying you, but you are doing them a favor. If they didn't want to work with you, I very much doubt that anyone is going to pay however much a month just because they felt like they were forced into working with you. Business owners don't do it. And if they don't respect you, you don't want to be treated badly for, say, one client. Once you've got other clients, I know people will probably think, well, it's not that easy, but it is. It becomes much easier to replace that one client. And sometimes you can even replace it for more money per month. It completely changes.
Massively. One word you just mentioned there, which I'd love to move on to, because I want to know how that impacted your life. Because I know you told me before that you were earning around £1,100 around that when your recruitment job at 18, which is really good for an 18-year-old, by the way. Like that's cool. Like, that's good cash. And so, but then you went from like being 18 at 1.1, and then you went to being 20 years old. And I don't know whether you want to disclose roughly what your agency is earning now, but how has that shift been? Like, how has that shift been like in your mental state, on your life? Like, how's that impact been?
So the agency is bringing in currently about £18,000 to £20,000 a month, which is a lot of money.
Nice.
And honestly, at the start, I'd have the money in my bank account and I was almost afraid of it. I was like, what do I do with it? And then I started completely overthinking things, because I was so used to having a certain amount of money, a certain amount went to fuel, a certain amount went to lunch at work, a certain amount went to just pleasure, then you had your phone contract, then you had rent. And I was like, but I have money left over now. And I was like, what can I spend it on? And don't get me wrong, the temptation was there so badly just to, like, the first couple of months just go and splash it completely. Because I was like, I've got all this money. And don't get me wrong, I did buy myself one or two nice things. Because I was like, I've earned this. But I did make sure that I set myself boundaries. And 100%. It was part of learning how to manage that money and learning where I want that money to go. So do I want it to go, obviously you have to start remembering about tax, because when you're in a job, that's all completely sorted for you. I remember, like, only a couple of weeks ago, I went onto a website which is here in the UK, Listen to the Tax Man. And I put in my figures from my 3 businesses for this year. it was so sad. I was like, so I've earned all this money and I have to give half of it away.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it is. And I was like, I remember I called up my dad because he works in the financial sector. I was like, this isn't cool. And he was like, I know. And I was like, yeah, but it's not cool. And he was like, yeah, it's how it works. And it was suddenly having to budget in tax. It was having to work out how much I wanted to pay contractors. If I wanted to suddenly hire a new contractor, I had to budget that in. But again, I suddenly had that money left over. And like this year, I was planning, like last year I went and traveled Thailand, which was absolutely amazing. I was able to work while I was out there. And obviously I am still quite young and I did it on my own. So at the start, I did stay in hostels. And I was literally on this bunk bed with my laptop and people were like, aren't you coming out for like the pub crawl? And I was like, no, I need to get this finished first. And they were like, what are you doing in Thailand? I was like, I'm working. Like, how can you work from Thailand? I was like, it's amazing, honestly. I was like, I can work from anywhere. And it's like these people, I remember I was sharing a room with these two people and the one was a maths teacher and the other one was an accountant. So they were like working professionals, not like just like 18-year-olds that were traveling. And they were like, yeah, but you're working. I was like, I know. They were like, why would you want to work? I was like, to be quite honest, I enjoy it. I enjoy now what I do, that setting an hour or two aside a day while I was in Thailand, that didn't make a difference to me at all. It was absolutely nothing. It was like the time between when I got in from doing something in the day to getting ready for dinner. There was nothing that. And don't get me wrong, if someone had said when I was working in recruitment, on your holiday, you have to spend an hour to 2 hours every day on the phone to your candidate.
Yeah. You'd be like, nah.
I'd be like, no chance at all. And don't get me wrong, I know I have the people in place that I could go on holiday and I don't work. But in a sense, this business has become, I've grown this from the bottom up. Like this is almost, it's kind of turned into like my baby.
Yeah.
And I enjoy seeing what's happening every day in it. And I, don't get me wrong, there's days I have days off. Like that happens. But I do enjoy seeing the process, what's happening, how and I'm constantly looking how we can improve it, whether that's kind of looking into new systems for clients. But I love it. And I think it's such an amazing thing that you can suddenly go from working a job which you absolutely resented into choosing to work every day. And
definitely
it's such a big shift in kind of like your mental health and everything as well. Because suddenly you've gone from, I remember the alarm would go off every morning and I would just push it to that, like it got to the point where I was doing my makeup in like 5 minutes, or sometimes it was in the car on the way to work. And I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And now I wake up and I'm like, right, okay, let's get this stuff done. And I know I have goals for each day. I set my goals on a Sunday for the following week. And I look forward to it. I think like, I'm just there. I'm like, yes, what can I achieve this week? And it's just such an amazing feeling.
You've got some pretty lofty goals as well. Like you've just, so guys, Jess, she started her agency and then worked with the clients she's working with. And I'd like you to talk us through this, Jess, but you started another 2 additional businesses that kind of forked off away from the agency, but are still very much connected. And so I always say to people how much of a gateway business an agency can be, because it opens up so many opportunities. And if you have the goals, if you dream big enough, if you see the opportunity, you can start other ventures as well. So Jess, talk us through what happened. So you've started an additional lead generation business in the construction industry, haven't you?
So it's in the financial services industry. And so I started, one of my clients, or my father works in the financial services industry, and he was like, I spend 35 to 40 pounds a day on leads, and that's one lead, and that lead cannot pick up, and that's it. You've spent money. And I was starting to get in contact with financial advisors, mortgage advisors, saying, right, okay, well, we have this option of all the leads could be yours. And it's a very hard industry to get into, because I'm not going to say this is everyone, but it's like, we've done it this way and this way works for me. And it was very difficult to get through to them. So I thought, right, okay, well, if I'm just going to be getting leads for them and they're selling them at they're buying them at £40, if I'm able to get a lead in for £8 through running my own ads through to a landing page, why would I not want to do that? And suddenly the people that I'd contacted from the agency and financial services, I went to them and I said, right, okay, I've changed this up a bit. I'm now offering these leads. And suddenly they were like, yeah. They were like, we want to try them for a month. And it was just the way. And if I didn't have the agency, I never would be able to run the ads or even have the idea to do it. But yeah, so now I work with kind of financial advisors, mortgage advisors, equity release advisors. So all like the way that I'm generating leads for other clients, I'm essentially doing it for myself and then selling each individual lead. So, and it's been amazing, because you see, it is an industry which people like the way that it's run currently.
100%.
Yeah, and it was hard to tap into them.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was constantly, whenever I would approach them, they were like, well, I want to work on a commission only basis. And I personally don't work on commission only. It's not, I might be a bit close-minded on this, but we work on monthly retainers. Your minimum contract is for 3 to 6 months. I don't work on commission or a percentage of your profits, because it adds so much more confusion into it. And don't get me wrong, I know I can get them the results, but yeah, they can fabricate them a bit. And I have a system in place in my business. You don't go into, say, a clothes shop and say, okay, I'm going to wear this to a business meeting. If I close the deal, I'll then pay for the dress.
Yeah.
Do you? It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
So that's where I set down my boundaries as, no, doesn't work like that at all. So, and some people, like, they were like, yeah, but I'd still be paying you. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Go find someone else that'll work that way. And quite frankly, they generally can't.
Yeah.
Or the people that won't be, they're just not at a stage where I am. And I almost see, if I went there, I would be taking a step backwards. I wouldn't be, because I would still be bringing money into the business and it would still be profits. But I would change what I've been working for, and it's not something that I believe in.
No, amazing. You're one credit to you, because I can tell by speaking to you, you've got that strong mind that you need in business. You've almost got that kind of like that stubbornness that you need to be like, and like, the crazy thing is like, and some people could be watching you and they'd be like, oh, well, Jess has just done so well because she's just such a strong character. But like, people got to remember, like, you jumped into recruitment at like 18 or whatever. Like, you didn't have this experience to do this beforehand.
Like, I went to a very nice school. I went to a private school in Cardiff, and you were in a bubble completely. I knew nothing about the outside world. I knew nothing of all the dirty that went on. And it got into the summer, and I had actually applied to university, and I was due to go to university in September, and I went on kind of, after your A-levels, you do like the typical kind of girls' holiday. And I went on that, and I'd done work experience in a recruitment company, and I emailed them and I said, is there any summer jobs coming? And they replied, they said, yeah, can you start next week? And I actually had, I think it was 10 days. And in that 10 days, I did my girls' holiday between finishing my last A-level and going into full-time work. And it was hard because everyone else was like just chilling, going to the pub constantly. And then it got to like just before I was meant to go to university, and I applied to university because everyone else was doing it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
It didn't interest me. I wasn't a big fan of school. I love learning now, but I didn't enjoy learning. I didn't enjoy learning there. And I remember it was 10 days before I chose my accommodation. I put my deposit down. I had my flat number, everything. I was ready, and it was 10 days before, and I went to my parents. I was like, I'm not going. They were like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm not going. And they're like, well, I think you need to think about this. I was like, no, I don't. I was like, I've spoken to the recruitment company. They're more than happy to keep me on full time. So I'm not going.
It was the best decision you've ever made. So
100%. And all of like my friends in uni now, obviously they're kind of like in their second, third years, and they're like, you're missing out so much. If I want to go on a night out, I can go on a night out.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about exams. And quite frankly, yeah, it looks absolutely amazing the time they're having, but I know I would not have lasted there.
Yeah.
I've always had a mentality that was much older than my age as well.
Yeah, and I can
and
see
suddenly
that.
I would be chucked into people that were obviously the same age as me, but were much younger minded. And I find it quite hard to like, I'm like, guys, we are adults now.
Yeah.
We need to start acting like it.
Of course.
And I think, yeah, that was a massive step for me, choosing that I wasn't going to university.
100%.
Like, I shocked everyone around me.
And you got to think about I remember even when I got kicked out of uni, how people reacted, but I didn't necessarily really want to go beforehand. It's just that pressure that you have to.
Exactly.
But you got to think about what point you are going to be in your life, even in like a year or two when your friends graduate, and like the financial position, but also just the prospects going forward. Because once you're in business, like, and you're doing something, you've got to do something. Like, even if everything went wrong with your agency, like everything went tits up, like you got shut down, don't know, something happened, you'd always find a way to make money now, because you've got that mentality, and so you're set up for life now.
Yeah, I was actually saying to someone the other day, I can't remember who it was, and they were like, "Well, if everything goes wrong, you can always go back to working in an office." And I was like, "No." Why would I want to do that? I was like, if it gets to the point where I have to be on a street corner selling apples or something, I will be doing it. So then I can start a business.
Yeah, rather than working for someone else.
Yeah, 100%. Because I now know what it takes to own a business. I now know how much I've enjoyed it. And everyone's like, well, you need your plan B. No, I don't have a plan B.
Yeah.
Because I see it as if you've got a plan B, you're kind of ready to fail in a sense, because you've got something to fall back on. And I was watching a motivational video the other day, and it said, it was amazing. I've started watching it every morning now. And it's an actor, and he's given a speech in front of a load of graduates. And he goes, everyone says you've got to have something to fall back on. And he goes, no, I'm going to fall forward. I'd rather see what I'm going to hit.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me. I'm not going to fall back on something. I'm falling forward. I'm going to see what I'm going to hit. And yeah, it's just, I won't go back to working 100%. For someone else. And yeah, I don't care what happens. I will figure out a way on
100%.
How, and don't get me wrong, when this whole pandemic started, you're in the UK too, it went nuts.
Yeah.
Like, and I had so many people say to me, they were like, oh, this could be the end for your business then. I was like, what the heck are you on about? I was like, I work in an online industry. I help online businesses. When has there been a better time for them? Like, I'm high risk. Part of the reason I started my agency as well is because I have autoimmune diseases. And it was a struggle for me to I manage them very well, but sometimes I get very bad fatigue. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, and most people that you watch will be like, as an entrepreneur, I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. I have this set schedule.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to do that every morning. Like, and I try my best to. But with the autoimmune diseases I have, sometimes I work from bed. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I will have my laptop on my lap and I will be working from bed. Yeah, because all these people in the pandemic, they were like, because I was classed as high risk, I couldn't go out to the shops and buy things. And suddenly I started then realizing, okay, I can buy everything from Amazon. I remember the other day I wanted some ice lollies.
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet you Amazon sell them. And suddenly I had a case of them turn up. And I think that was a big like light bulb moment for me as well, is the whole world now is going to change.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know if you know, there's a big accounting firm in the UK, they're actually worldwide, and I know one of the senior partners. And he was saying they don't plan on making their staff come back to the office until at least March of next year.
Yeah.
And because everyone can work at home, and everyone, and don't get me wrong, I feel so bad for the businesses that unfortunately probably won't make it because they rely on kind of the lunch trade from offices, etc. But the world is shifting. Like,
definitely,
Deliveroo and Uber Eats has gone nuts over here because suddenly people aren't walking in to say a noodle bar to go get it, they're getting it delivered. And I think it's a massive shift, and I've been so grateful that I've been able to help certain businesses make that shift.
Yeah.
And you see them have that light bulb moment, and you see them because most businesses, they're not owned by young people, but there are some, and the older ones go, yeah, but I've always had a brick and mortar business. Okay, well, what happens if we stuck with the brick and mortar business for a bit, but also took it a bit online? See what happens. Yeah,
100%.
And they don't plan for that at all at the start.
No, they don't. And there's going to be so many businesses now. They're all like panicking. They're thinking, I need to be online. They've been working on that over the last couple of months. And also, people are so used to working from home that they're now going to be like, okay, I want to start my own business as well. So there's going to be loads of new startups too. And
all I can say is, I'm not someone that is worried about competition. I understand there's always going to be competition. And I want to see all those people succeed. I want to see, because I honestly think this is the way that the world is going. Why? Don't get me wrong. For some people, it is easier to go into an office every day, get a guaranteed wage at the end of each month. And that is a big part of why people don't start it. But I don't have that guarantee at the end of the month.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed what? £1,300?
Yeah.
Exactly. That just covers your expenses.
Yeah.
Rent now is what, like £750 to £900 a month.
Yeah, minimum.
That's £400 left without bills.
Yeah.
How? Like, why would you want to do that? And don't get me wrong, there is the risk that is there, but what if you didn't try?
Yeah.
Well, that was a big thing for me. What if I didn't try? What if I didn't try and then I was still stuck in recruitment right now and I hadn't tried to make that leap? It would just be...
That's the thing.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah. That's the thing. So many people give up way, way too early. And it actually ties us on nicely to the last question I like to ask people when we do these kind of interviews. And that's, if someone you're speaking to someone right now, maybe they're just starting out, maybe they're on the fence of the Affluent Academy, maybe they want to start an agency. If they're on the fence and or even if they're trying now and they're struggling to sign up clients, what would you say to that person who really is desperate to be successful, wants to start an agency, doesn't know whether this is right for them?
I would 100% say the Affluent Academy taught me so much. And I think the way that it's structured from at the start, where it's how to set up your business in terms of even going down to kind of like websites, etc. It's a program, because I've taken other programs in the past and I was promised so much with them and I received them and I was so disappointed. And then suddenly I bought the Affluent Academy and I was like, this is amazing. Like there's so much value in it. And I think it really helps that you are passionate about teaching other people how to do it as well, because that definitely comes across. Like other videos, there was literally just people sat, like, I'm sure some of them were on their bed, and I was like, you're literally doing this,
it's a
to
joke.
make money. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, everyone loves to earn money, but I'd prefer to earn it doing something that I enjoy. And if you are thinking about doing it, it's going to be scary. I'm not going to say that you're suddenly going to sign your first client and you're going to fly.
Yeah.
And it's not suddenly going to be, you're going to have your first client and all these clients are flooding your inbox. And so many people then promise that. And you are going to have to work, but it is going to be so worth it. Like,
definitely.
And yeah, it takes a little bit sometimes to invest in yourself. And sometimes it's not that you didn't already know that information, but it's giving you kind of that support. Okay, yeah, it's right. I am taking this from someone that actually knows what they're doing. So I would say just think about what you could have.
Definitely.
If you did this, and think about what your life is at right now. And that'll really, like, in front of me right now, I have a vision board right in front of me. And I look at that every day when I'm working.
Yeah.
And those are my next goals. And make like, I would recommend to make one. What do you want to, whether it's even as simple as paying a little bit extra off your credit card each month. Think about what you can do, because it completely changes you. And changing your mindset, and when you become a business owner, your mindset does change. But I can promise you, if you do it, you're not going to regret it. Because
that's sorry, go on.
Yeah, because I think the Affluent Academy as well, as much as it's geared towards agency owners, it can feed into so many other industries as well, which I think is amazing. Because like I was saying to Jordan before, I do business coaching and consulting as well. So I help online businesses, everything from the start to scaling them up to past 6 figures. And it's helped me with that 100%. There's things in it that I've been able to apply to that. And I think it takes one hell of a course to be able to apply it to so many different industries. It's just, I remember, because I was buying it and I was like, okay, right. And I'd watched Jordan's YouTube for so long before, and I was like, if he's giving away all this information for free and this much value, imagine what it's going to be if it's paid. I was like, surely there can't be that much more. What? And I was like, wow. And it was such a good decision. And I think, honestly, it definitely doubled my revenue in my agency, whether it's from sales techniques. And I used to work in sales myself. That was my job.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a different take on how to sell within having an agency. Definitely. So yeah, I wouldn't say anyone that's on the fence, just do it. You've got the 30-day success guarantee as well. Who else offers that? Like, okay, if you do sit on your ass, you're not going to achieve it. But if you work, I can literally guarantee you that you will do it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jess.
That's okay.
I appreciate that, but this is on you. You've done this. And the key is the difference between someone, because you can't just enroll into a program and just have success. It doesn't happen. Jess has taken information. She's taken what she already knows. She's combined it to everything, and she's got that resilience. I think one really key thing that you said, which I think is really important, is a lot of people fail to really vision out what they want out of their life. And like, a lot of people maybe dream about having a Lamborghini or having a nice house, but what is it, like, deep under rooting? What is it you actually want to achieve out of your life? And then ask yourself, what would I do to get that? It's like, would I give up a year of my time, or would I sacrifice late nights? Would I sacrifice 12-hour days until I get that thing? What would I actually give up? And the reality of it is a lot of people give up after like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. And it's like, well, hang on, okay, let me ask you, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve out of your life? So you're telling me that you wouldn't even give up more than 2 months of your time to achieve those goals. And if you wouldn't, then you don't want it enough. And I think that's the harsh reality of it. Put the work in, invest the time. You literally cannot fail when you're working in a sales-based industry, which relies on you reaching out to just reaching out to a certain amount of companies per day, sticking to your targets. It's like YouTube. In my YouTube is growing at, I think we're growing at about 300 subscribers a day. Back in the day, it was growing at like 3 subscribers a day, less than that. But as long as you're moving forward, like you physically can, my YouTube physically cannot stop growing unless I screw it up. And so as long as you're just uploading weekly, sticking to your targets, then you're going to progress. And it's the same as anything in business. I don't care whether it's Amazon, whether it's you're starting a recruitment agency, I don't care what it is, as long as you're moving forward, it's physically impossible not to succeed. The problem is people just get complacent and they don't carry on.
And people think that their current habits, don't get me wrong, you do have to change to own a business.
Definitely.
It's not like you can carry on doing everything that you did before. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be a point to where you're going to do way more. You're going to do so much more than you did before. But just for that period of time, you do need to sacrifice things. And so many people get concerned about that. And I don't know whether you found it as well, but I found at the start of being an entrepreneur, I found it quite lonely.
Yeah.
I found it to be, all my friends were going on nights out and they would go, well, why can't you come? It's one night out. But then suddenly I go, well, should we go for dinner? Oh, I'm too busy. I've got all this work to do. Okay, or should we go for lunch? No, I work full time. Okay, and they're like, well, how can you work? How can you go for lunch in the middle of the day? And well, I now work to my own schedule, and I think, it is. And it's so nice to have the Affluent Academy community as well, because it does take that. You're surrounded by with people with the same mindset, and that is so important. I think having that community and the weekly Q&A calls, I think it takes that loneliness out of it as well, because, and I think that is a part why people don't do it, is because they are scared about what they're going to lose. And 100%. That fear of losing something over what they're going to gain takes over.
Definitely. That the community thing is a massive thing. It's having people around you who want to help out. And talking of community, if people want to reach out to you on any platform, if they want to say hi, ask any questions, if you're comfortable with that, I can put a link in the description for your platforms. Where would be the best places for people to reach you?
So this can be on Instagram, Facebook, anything. I'm literally starting a YouTube channel now.
Nice.
So I look forward to everyone seeing that. But yeah, honestly, I'm open to any questions. I love helping people. So
amazing.
Please reach out. Anything I can do.
Perfect. Okay, well, guys, I'll put a link in the description for where you can reach out to Jess, and make sure you go subscribe to her channel. Go follow her journey and absorb her content. I'm sure she's got a lot of valuable stuff to say based on the stuff she's done. She's absolutely killed it. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Jess. Like, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm sure we could speak for hours on one of these, but I think we're coming up to that point now. So yeah, we'll round up today. Do you have anything additional to add at all?
Don't be concerned about it, honestly. How can you be concerned when you have a guarantee?
Yeah, there you go.
Honestly, that's all I can say.
All right, thank you so much. Jess, I will speak to you very, very soon. You guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do share it with somebody else that will get value from it. And yeah, we'll be back again in a couple of days' time for sure. Thank you so much, guys.